Welcome to another edition of DFS Picks through Monkey Knife Fight, brought to you by Fantasy Focused. I'm Derek Tate, and I'm flying solo on this episode as we break down the DFS picks, or my DFS picks, for the tilt between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if this is your first time coming across our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell so you don't miss any of the notifications when we drop a new video, all of our Monkey Knife Fight picks, or any of the other fantasy football content that we have here on the Fantasy Focus YouTube channel. Also, if you have never played Monkey Knife Fight before, go ahead and go to their website, create an account, use the promo code FOCUS when you make your first deposit, and Monkey Knife Fight will credit your account with up to $50 on your first deposit when you use that promo code FOCUS. The link is in the description. And really, this is my favorite platform to use for when it comes to prop bets for NFL games. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've got the rapid fire matchup, which is always kind of three times. You pick three heads-up battles for one statistical category, and if you pick it correctly, you get 5 times your buy-in. I've hit on two straight contests heading into this pick'em, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Sorry, I'm used to normally having my other co-host to throw it off of, so I'm having to go solo here, so forgive me if I'm a little rough around the edges on this one. But let's start with the passing matchup between the two quarterbacks. Passing yardage, Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. And Burrow's actually getting the advantage as the kind of the favorite to come out on top in this heads-up duo. He's actually Lamar Jackson, last year's MVP, is getting 41.5 passing yards in this heads-up tilt. So, but when I'm breaking down, even though Joe Burrow has been playing very good football for a rookie, considering there are all kinds of offensive line issues up front for the Cincinnati Bengals, I really like Lamar Jackson. The fact that he's getting 41.5 yards passing in this one, mostly because, one, he's dealing with a knee injury, so I don't know how much he's going to be taking off and running the football in this matchup, even though he's been cleared and it looks like he's going to be a 100% a go for this Sunday tilt. But in particular, this secondary is going to have some issues. The Cincinnati Bengals one is going to have issues matching up against Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, and hopefully Hollywood Brown is a go, because it does have that he is dealing with a knee injury. So we have to see if he's going to play now. Also, if you play this contest and Hollywood Brown does not go, and basically if you play this game, it's not like you lose automatically because or win automatically if you pick T. Higgins, because if somebody is inactive in a contest that you were playing, the money, basically the game is just canceled and the money goes right back into your account. So just feel safe if you want to play some of these games, but you know, you're playing and picking between somebody that's injured. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, I just don't see this secondary being able to put much of a speed bump into the passing attack of the Baltimore Ravens. But on the flip side, even though Burrow has played quite well recently, you got to consider who he's been doing it against. So you got a Baltimore Ravens defense that is pretty damn good from top to bottom. They've also got very good man-to-man cover corners. I think Marlon Humphrey is going to be going up against Tyler Boyd on a regular basis. Burrow, you know, it's not that he couldn't finish with more passing yards than Lamar Jackson. It's just I'm giving Jackson the nod because of, one, the softer matchup, and two, the fact that, you know, he's getting 41.5 yards, so he's already starting out ahead. So give me Lamar Jackson on this one. Now we're going you got to go 3 for 3 in order to win. Receptions, we're going with Tyler Boyd versus Mark Andrews. And look, Tyler Boyd has developed a pretty damn good rhythm with the likes of Joe Burrow pretty quickly. And we had seen Mark Andrews, his reception totals have not been all that great. We've seen that he's had, 7 receptions in the last 3 games combined, and one of which was a one-catch dud against the Houston Texans, and then, you know, against Kansas City and Washington, respectively. Even though I like the matchup for Mark Andrews, just the volume that you're getting, it's only a half a reception bonus that Mark Andrews is getting in this heads-up tilt. So for me in particular, I'm definitely going with Tyler Boyd, even though the matchup against Marlon Humphreys is less than ideal. And anybody else in that secondary, you'll probably see a little bit of Marcus Peters. But, you know, Boyd has certainly established that connection and is by far the most reliable fantasy option, in particular with the reception totals that any of these Cincinnati Bengals receivers have. And that even includes T. Higgins. And that brings us to the last setup or matchup of this rapid fire contest, which is receiving yards, Marquise Hollywood Brown versus T. Higgins. Higgins is getting 8.5 reception yards, bonus heads up tilt handicap, whatever you want to call it, against Hollywood Brown. Brown, of course, dealing with a little bit of an injury. It always seems like he's a little dinged up somehow, but I really like what I've seen from Hollywood Brown so far to start the season. I know that they struggled against the Kansas City Chiefs, but there wasn't one player on this offense that really shined out against the Kansas City Chiefs for the Baltimore Ravens unit offensively. He had a bounce back week in week 4. So in particular for Hollywood Brown, again, I mentioned some of the matchup issues on the outside that I anticipate the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have. I mean, he's going to be matched up against either Darius Phillips or William Jackson III. So when we're talking about those matchups, not that those, I mean, in particular, Jackson's not having a bad season, but I'm still going to go with Hollywood Brown. I like what I've seen. I think he is truly the marquee option on the outside for Lamar Jackson in a secondary that I think is going to struggle to slow down Lamar Jackson and company. Even though I like what I've seen from Higgins, Higgins hasn't faced the type of talent on the defensive side of the football that he's facing this week against this Baltimore Ravens secondary. So I'm going with Marquise Hollywood Brown. I'm throwing a little bit of a 5 spot on it. Again, this is a perfect opportunity to go ahead and say that the link is in the description to go ahead and create an account. Use the promo code FOCUSED when you make your first deposit up to $50. Monkey Knife Fight will match it in your account, as we always do. And I'm guys, if you guys have been playing, for those of you that are joining live and have seen us do these 6 for 6, more or less for 35 times your buy-in, we are on the cusp of greatness. We went 5 of 6 in the Thursday night football game for the Bucks versus the Bears on, I think, at least a handful of occasions, 5+ occasions. I've gone 5 of 6 so far this season. So we are very, very close to greatness as far as in making some money here on Monkey Knife Fight. So go ahead and join me if you want to play in on this account. And if you guys are hitting right now with any live questions, go ahead and I'll get to them after I'm done with this last slate of picks. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Joe Burrow, 271.5 passing yards. I'm going to go less on this one. I mean, as much as I like what I've seen from Joe Burrow, again, the matchup, the issues up front for the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line unit, which looked exponentially better last week, but that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm pumping the brakes here a little bit when it comes to getting excited about how they're playing up front. So Burrow, I think that they're going to, in particular, the matchup, the good man-to-man corners that the Ravens possess should be able to put a speed bump into this improving offense there in Cincinnati. So I'm going less on that. For Lamar Jackson, 230 yards passing against this secondary. I expect to get some big chunk plays. Jackson, I don't know how much he's going to be running, but they've said that he's clear go 100% heading into Sunday, even though he missed a couple practices earlier this week with a knee issue. But I have faith that Lamar Jackson is going to handle his business against this Cincinnati Bengals defense. So give me the more on Lamar Jackson. Tyler Boyd, this one's a bit tricky. Do I think that he could have somewhere around 5-6 receptions in this game? I do. And I expect the Bengals to be playing from behind. So if there's one guy that I actually anticipate is going to have a decent stat line as far as yardage totals go, it's actually going to be Tyler Boyd. So I'm going to go reluctantly. I think he's probably going to go somewhere around 71 yards. It's not going to be a huge day for Tyler Boyd, but it's just enough to hit the more on this individual contest. Now, Joe Mixon broke out in week 4. Looked great. He torched this Jacksonville defense. But that was Jacksonville. This isn't Baltimore. So in particular, I'm going less with a banged up Joe Mixon who is dealing with a shin issue. We've seen Mixon lay eggs when, in particular, players can go ahead and penetrate and basically blow up running plays before they even get started because of some of the issues up front that the Bengals have. And I think that that's going to take place against the Baltimore Ravens unit up front. So give me the less on Joe Mixon. 4.5 receptions for Mark Andrews. And we just mentioned it, he's only topped 4 receptions in one game the entire season. The tricky thing, though, is that I think that in this matchup in particular, I think Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews could really torch this defense on the back end. But I took Tyler Boyd in the heads-up matchup. Again, I expect him to be somewhere around 6 receptions. Andrews, I think he's going for 4 receptions. I think he finds the end zone and gets a tutty. And it's really more so Marquise Hollywood Brown that I expect to have the bigger day against the secondary and the corners in particular in this heads-up tilt. So I'm going to go more on Marquise Hollywood Brown. I think Andrews does his damage, but he is going to go 4 receptions for somewhere around 70-something yards and a touchdown. I'm going Hollywood Brown, though. I think he has a big day. I think he's going somewhere around 5 receptions for 100+. Do I know if he's going to score? I'm not going to take a chance on that because Hollywood Brown has had trouble finding the end zone so far in 2020. But in particular, I have faith that he's going to have a big day against this secondary. Hopefully, he is 100% a go tomorrow. As I'm going to go, I'm only putting 2 on this, but you put $2 on this 6 for 6 and you win $70. So, I mean, that sounds like a pretty damn good one to me. So again, that'll do it for this episode of Monkey Knife Fight Picks through Fantasy Focus. Again, if you have not yet done so, go ahead and subscribe. Click the little bell so you don't miss any of our videos when we drop our Monkey Knife Fight Picks or any of our other fantasy football analysis content, live shows, Q&As, including for Sunday tomorrow morning at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be live taking your questions heading into what is another crazy Sunday with COVID-19, bye weeks. I'm sure you guys have all kinds of questions about the Bills, Titans players. So join us tomorrow when we go live, and we'll go ahead and answer any and all of your questions. Till next time, everybody, good luck and later, says the Tater.